Oh, well, the first store was in the Orchard Shopping Center. It was 1956, I believe, Vandalia. And from there, I went right next door. It was the second store, but it was also in the Orchard Shopping Center. It was 1972 Vandalia. It was 4 times the size. That's about, if you're wanting to know the actual first store, that was it. We were actually playing in a band. Me and 4 other guys. We were called the Headsmen, or the Hoodsmen. We had black hoods, and we would wear them all night. And one of the guys, suggested we open a store. So we chipped in about, like 1,000 each, and we opened our first store. Well, we actually wanted to call it Swing City, and when we opened up, I kind of stuttered, and I says, the guy asked, "What do you want to call it?" I says, a Swing City, and he says, "Oh, a Swing City," and I said, "No, I don't know about that." But then the partner I had, Dave, says, "We'd like to keep the 3 A's because that'll keep us in front of all the advertising. Every time you open up the book, you'll see AAA." And then after that, everybody started using A's until they had like 48 A's. And then the phone company said, "We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to use 1 A." Well, it was just me for the, and the partner. But then, I bought him out, and I was the only guy in the store for the first year and a half. I recall one of the actual first employees I had was a gentleman that used to work for the Sure Brothers, and his name was Neil Connolly. And I had been selling lots and lots of PAs to all of the Ramada Inns. And one day I just wrote on a piece of paper because, I had a hard time trying to talk. So I really didn't even have any scratch paper. So I took a deposit slip from the bank, and I wrote down that I wanted to ship all these columns, ahead and speakers to Orange County, California. And somebody asked Connolly, "Is this guy for real?" And he said, "Yeah, if he tells you to do it, do it." And right after that, Connolly came to work for me. And we started shipping them all over the world. One of them was Baldwin, was a blue and chrome amplifier, which was really kind of pretty. And the second one was, I think it was Magnetone, and the third one was our first order of Fender. Was a whole $1,500. It took one small car into the store, like 4 amps. I recall one time this guy, I had hired a guy named Ricky Weeks, and he was helping me in the store. And this guy, he comes in and he wants this, this part for his drum. And I spent about an hour on it, and I charged him 45 cents. And I said, "Can I have your name?" And I started writing. He says, "Yeah, Lake." And I said, "What's your first name?" He says, "Greg Lake." So I write it down, and after he walks out the door, says, "Ricky," says, "that was Greg Lake from Emerson, Lake and Palmer." I wish I'd have saved that receipt. Well, in the 60s, a lot that was happening was, I believe that's the first time the Jesus Christ Superstar had come out. And I recall Jim Knoblink, who used to help me install some PAs, drove up in this big Greyhound bus with all these people from SIU and said, "We want a PA to go into to the bottom of this Greyhound." And I looked at it, and I said, it's about that high. It's about 18 inches. It went all the way across. So we decided to put 16 Shure columns in there. and then there was about half a dozen of the half ones, a 100-watt head, and 3 of the power heads to go on top of it. And they actually took off and went to do Jesus Christ Superstar in New York. And he called me after 3 days and says, "Art, they just sent you a check, and we got closed up for copyright infringements." And I said, "Wow." He said, "Cash a check." I did. I cashed it, and it was one of the largest PAs I sold. I think it was in somewhere around 30 grand. I can recall when the guys went out and bought about 300 feet of chicken wire, and they spread it out, and it was about, enough space for 4 or 5 cars. And they got all the Coke cases and the Pepsi cases from behind the shopping center, and they had it as a stage. And they drove around downtown with a sign on a car, big concert in the lot full of Swing City music. And they all got inside the cage, and all the girls started coming. So it was a guy at the front of the gate would charge the girls to come in 3 feet closer $1.50, and they were paying it. I couldn't believe it. I believe I believe the band was Rumble Street South. Charlie Morris, and I believe Jack McDaniels, Gary Hudson, and Gary Braden. I believe that's the band, but it could have been some other band. So we can't blame Charlie for all of that. Well, I can recall that we got the largest amplifier in the world. It was 8 feet tall, and they had it out in front of the store, and Charlie was playing it, and as high as he could turn it was 3, because it was so loud that people a mile away were calling the cops on us. Hey, we did the first PA at the Arch. It was and we did pretty big PAs for some of the ball games. We actually hung the speakers from telephone poles. And one day I had Charlie go get a piano. It was an upright, and I didn't have a truck that I had a ranchero. And he's hauling it in the back all the way down the highway to drive real slow so it wouldn't turn over, and he's playing it real loud, and a cop stopped him and made him quit. He played it through 3 towns. Well, I got a lot of stories.